Welcome to a new episode of our podcast series AI Proof. Here we talk about the future.
Ivan, a warm welcome to HAK Mürzzuschlag, your former school. You are, after all, a graduate of our school. It's great to have you back here with us. You've already had quite an interesting career. What have you done professionally up until now?
Yes, thank you very much for the invitation. Exactly, I'm also a graduate of this school. I already started my own business while in school, primarily as a photographer, and I'm still doing photography and film productions, primarily in Europe. After finishing school, I went on to do a bachelor's degree in Graz in marketing and sales. That means I'm also very active in this marketing world. I'm also currently studying for a master's in executive management in Vienna to deepen my knowledge of business, deepen my knowledge.
So, quite an impressive career you've already had. And today we have a special topic, namely artificial intelligence, AI. I think it's a really important topic, especially in your industry. In your view, why is AI such an important driver of technological change?
Well, I should mention that I'm a very tech-savvy person, so I deal with new technologies a lot. I even wrote my bachelor's thesis on these topics, on augmented reality and virtual reality. And I'm also currently writing my master's thesis on new technologies in specific economic sectors and the applicability behind them. And because of that, I deal with technologies a great deal. And AI has, of course, especially in the last, let's say, 5 years, or 3 years actually, exploded onto the scene out of nowhere, you could say. And that has worldwide, especially if you look at the investments being made in big tech in America, it's just incredible what's currently emerging. And this technological change, of course, also has an impact on the world of work.
In your view, what would you say is a truly significant or really meaningful impact on the world of work when it comes to AI?
Well, you can see changes in efficiency above all. So, especially when it comes to speeding up processes and making information more accessible, then AI is just incredible in that area. In which areas it's used, well, I come from this creative bubble, as I'll call it in quotes, and you really notice it there. That means you see that, for example, in advertising, increasingly ad productions are being outsourced to AI because it's now extremely easy to prompt and generate things. And I see a very big change there, especially in my professional world. And I believe, though, that AI has an impact on all areas in the business world.
And do you also think that there could definitely be job losses there, or how will that somehow balance out?
Well, that's always the crucial question with technological innovations. On the one hand, you lose jobs somewhere. On the other hand, new jobs are created. Let's put it this way, from my perspective, I see, of course, that many of my colleagues have fewer jobs, but new jobs are also being created as a result. And you have to, I think, always keep up with the times. And that is, I think, one of the most important points in working with AI. That means you shouldn't let yourself be put off by it. But you always have to approach these topics with curiosity and make sure that you, stay on the ball.
You have to do that. Always stay on the ball, no question about it. Now, in your specific company, where do you actually use AI the most?
Well, I use AI in many different areas. Be it, as silly as it sounds, but writing a simple email that I just don't necessarily feel like doing. Or when I deal with legal issues that I might not directly understand at first, then I have things explained to me until I understand them. Or I get some general input or try to brainstorm somehow. With the AI, like a sparring partner, that works extremely well, especially if you use ChatGPT or Gemini. Those are very helpful tools, and I think you can do a lot with them.
If you think about it now, what new professional fields could actually emerge through AI? What would those be for you? Typical possible new professional fields?
Through professional fields. Well, from the creative world, I can see it already, at least. I said before, there are people who can prompt. And that will definitely be the case in the future, that this profession of prompter exists, where you then say, okay, I want to have output XY and have to give instructions to the AI. And there are people who deal very intensively with how I have to control the AI so that I achieve exactly this desired output. And that is definitely a new profession in my world that is emerging or has already emerged, and which I believe will gain more and more relevance in the coming years. That basically means being able to operate the AI.
Okay, so the prompter is a new profession, you could say. The profession of the prompter, you could probably call that a new profession.
But everything is moving so fast. That means I wouldn't commit myself to a specific job title right now, but the change in this AI world is incredible, fast. So from one day to the next, new things pop up that you just didn't expect to be so accessible or to happen so particularly fast.
What was the biggest surprise for you in this whole field of new applications over the last, let's say, the last 2 years?
The biggest surprise by now is the wide variety of generation tools and applications for video. Because you need in the past for video generation you needed extreme computing power. That means if you worked with CGI to generate or animate things, then an extreme amount of computing power was necessary. And this computing power is now accessible online via various AI tools. And honestly, it's just crazy. I mean, what has actually emerged there?
So we can produce Hollywood movies ourselves.
You can bring Hollywood into your home, so to speak. Exactly.
Okay.
Maybe not quite yet at the same high level of quality as Hollywood is able to achieve, but let's see what else comes next year or in the next 5 years. That's a time horizon that I think you can't even imagine in AI because...
So if you compare it perhaps with earlier waves of automation, what is the essential difference for you now compared to this quasi-AI wave that we're currently experiencing here?
Well, if you look at earlier waves of automation, they were rather sluggish and slow, especially the development, perhaps also associated with very high costs because automation wasn't intended for everyone. If anything, then often for companies and users, but often very expensive. Then if you look particularly at what's possible with AI and automation now, then we see a significant change there. And this change is extremely fast-paced, especially when you look at tools from marketing where it's about initiating and automating processes. That means if I send someone a voice message on WhatsApp nowadays, that is linked to another company and a process is triggered where my voice message is converted into text. This text is interpreted, and based on that, it's decided which workflows are still to be triggered. Then those are incredible automation steps that we've achieved in recent years, enabling possibilities that didn't exist before all these innovations.
You also hear again and again that AI itself can communicate with AI. Have you ever heard of that? That the programs suddenly start talking to each other?
No, actually haven't heard of it yet.
Okay, good.
But I can certainly imagine that one AI communicates with another AI. But I wonder to what extent that really works so well because they are all competing products.
Yeah.
Well, because if you think about it, Gemini has its own data stream, OpenAI ChatGPT has its own data stream. The Chinese are somehow copying it right now. I don't know how much one might want to communicate with the other.
Yes, that's a good question, yeah. That would also be exciting. A translation AI from Chinese into American English. Possibly?
Yeah, I think that already exists. I think that's been around for a long time. I think so.
Even we're in a school, the HAK Mürzzuschlag, and for us, competencies are very important, especially the future skills that we want to teach our students here. And what is from your point of view, or what are from your point of view looking at AI and these developments, what are from your point of view important future skills?
I think the most important skill or quality in this area is this curiosity. You need a certain curiosity about these technologies because if you don't test them, don't engage with them, then you have no insight. And the nice thing about all these tools is that they are accessible. There's no barrier. In some cases, there are no paywalls at all. I can just type in ChatGPT and then I can take a look at it and form my own opinion. I recently downloaded it for my father. For example, he's 67. I said, Dad, please, now don't always ask me so many questions. Just ask ChatGPT for once. And that's super practical because he can ask in Croatian, it understands him perfectly, and he gets his answers. And for me, it means less work, less effort.
You could program an avatar of yourself that looks just like you. And that then basically answers as an AI.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows where the future will lead, right?
Ivan, looking at this area of education and politics, what do you think educational institutions like us as a school, what should we do in this whole field of AI, or how should we behave?
I think for educational institutions, it's essential not to forbid students this access, but rather to support them in its use and application, and to really introduce them to these tools and thus equip them for the future with these tools, because that's very important. I think it will be an important tool, especially in the working world. And therefore, I see it as an important task for educational institutions to generally introduce students to new technologies. How should I say? Yeah, to bring that closer to them. Exactly.
Yes, that brings us to our students. And students, so you are also a graduate of this school. You already have some experience in professional life. If you're already an experienced entrepreneur by now, what would you advise our students? What should they basically try to learn or take away, especially in connection with AI?
Exactly. So, in connection with AI, I would say the most important thing you can give students is precisely this curiosity. You have to spark this curiosity because the possibilities you have with AI are endless, and you can develop them in any direction that interests you. And that's why I'd say curiosity is one of the most important aspects in this context.
Thank you very much for visiting and much success as an entrepreneur.
Thanks.